Hello, Americans. Interstates, there are the worst roles with overt criminal enterprises and terrorists that have been planting evidences with news, also at crime scenes, including the World Trade Center attack and the court next to it. And as one's interstates, and that's from Manhattan. These are one's interstates in Washington, D.C., Manhattan, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. Uh, Tim O'Brien, Andrew Bryan, have a Dennis O'Brien, I don't know their mother's name. And there's a Ray O'Brien, per a guy at Sandy Hook campuses, involved with them with a principled upskirt nature. And more people involved with the daughter of the principal when I went to that same campus. And a woman, when she was a girl, who had a conversation with that principal or with a teacher who was involved with putting predicate acts in databases, also with the principal upskirt nature, involved with more upskirt and picture crime. Wethersfield police have a Leahy family, and police are confessing that they were influenced to federal crimes with the Leahy family, with some medical offenders, with a police chief Cintron. And he reportedly has, per their sources, a daughter, Jessica Cintron, involved with a John Maiano and a Joe DeMoro, also with former mayors from Wethersfield, involved with overt criminal enterprises and private ones, and they're educators, where they're having conversations and then sticking fake things in databases, and where that's relative, where there are uses of it recorded, they have collusions with our recorded uses remotely of all sides of criminal and civil cases, in the court's names and the intelligence names, switching sequences and names and putting the same fake federal evidences crimes together, same sequence shift, self-valued, and with the news at the same time, to keep that self-valued in the past too, in the future too, and to keep them showing them they need to hide that at other location/s and their roles. There are journalists tied to a Jack Heitner as one of the intelligence family member people associated with intelligence at Central Connecticut State University, and with the FBI, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, has a whole bunch of people tied to a Jack Heitner, involved intercities with the campuses with predicate acts and in the databases, methods, roles, with the names with judges and prosecutors. Also, before the World Trade Center attack, they had collusions at and next to campuses like Central Connecticut State University, with people that also had collusions with predicate acts with people tied to fake ties, fake nature ties to me when I was a kid. And then they called it back as a function where they were pretending things on Facebook, with the difference of Facebook roles with predicate acts, or Twitter with the FBI upskirt pictures more too, still further with the principal upskirt nature force with worse then and now. And there's a Brian Silver with the New Britain Superior Court. There are a whole bunch of people with New Britain Superior Court, and their kids are repeating fake things for the influence of the intelligence community, constantly influencing both sides. People to act at the same time where they make fake sides of issues, but that's manifest relative to where there are timed use/s of them at all locations/s, and then further where there is databases, identities of relativity to ourselves, and then relative. And then further where there were, in other words, ones at campuses, at and next to each of the campuses I went, have people recorded tied to a Leahy family that is involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, also with people named Lombardo and Rick Ciampaglione, involved with a Ray Colo and his family with the intelligence and different departments. I don't know his sister's name, and their father's name is Ray Colo also. I believe he had a grandfather named Ray Colo too, or Ray something, in other words. But these are people with the corner of the street at Fox Hill and Carriage Hill Drive are people involved with conversations with them, with foreign and domestic military, and people involved with child abusers, leaders of the Kids First Forest. And so it's necessary because the police have been refusing to identify themselves legitimately intercities as ones involved interstate still. Wethersfield police have roles with names at the World Trade Center next to it, and in the Ninth Circuit Court next to it also, and the World Trade Center attack context. And the court itself had proven afterwards they from inside the court they had changed the legal date. It had been timely stamped and direct and brought to the court. Increasingly, people with the FBI and the CIA, per themselves, which you can't lie about that. And even if they were with someone lying about it, it's recorded. They have other ways. They have roles with Russians in Ukraine, with Wethersfield police, with the Kelly Kazmarek and people on their Facebook page, with the name Joshua Shumack. I don't know his mother's name. His mother's name is involved with the police, with child sex offenders, including one's not proven yet. But I have a algebra teacher who's involved with a Domain family involved with confessions about his sexual relationships with one of the Mulcahy family members involved in with their neighbors also and with mayors. Also next to Fox Connecticut News with some Mendez police who put me in fake conversations with them when I was a kid and now I was an adult. And as collusions when I was a kid with ones that did it at the police station. And then as an adult, they pretended it through the news too. That I had conversations with them at the police station when I was a kid, and I was an adult too. And they tried to make a fake exception. I spoke a word, I spoke a sentence to my Saudi friend, and they put it and pretended I spoke that sentence to I believe his name is Janito Mendez or what. And he switches that name too, and pretends it's cultural. Also, because they have roles with some KKK Confederate flag team, including on Facebook recorded. Joshua Julian has roles with a whole bunch of people, like with a Mark Violet and a Justin Kovinskis from other areas with military planting evidences on my street with some Jewish themed too, and some other interreligious spots themed along his neighbors also rolls with a church on Route 3 through time, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with their federal evidences rackets with intelligence next to the state capitol, and with the ones on my street named the Cololo, and the ones that used to be here, O'Brien, increasingly involved with predicate acts on my street. Identity theft, fraud, slanders with their teachers behind my back, too, and their roles with the people, with the leaders of the kids' involved with predicate acts with fax methods at the campuses recorded. Totally fake ties between kids that never even had classes together. I never had a class with Rick St. Faglione when I was a kid. They tried to make fake exceptions to look other. In other words, and when I was in a class with a Mr. Neville, he put fake things in the databases with them. And educators of a Matt Olson and Eric Olson. I only saw one of them, a Matt Olson, on my campus real fast one time at the middle school, tied to a Joe DeMoro, who's one of the ones involved with home break-ins on my street with them, with state police involvements, with state police, with people with the name Olson, a Joe DeMoro, Ray Cololo, a Mike Kerr. It's not just state police, FBI, state police, courts, overt criminal enterprises, private ones, not legitimately. Their roles with foreign and domestic military. I don't even know all their names with the Marines involved. Kerr is one of the names of the Marines involved. But I heard he was reportedly dishonorably discharged. Regardless, even if he got a medal, in other words, he's involved with child offenders, identity theft, fraud, slanders, and with judges and prosecutors through time, putting fake things in their delusions into databases, putting fake ties, fake natures of ties between students, mixing juxtaposed distinct natures of organized crimes with the subject matters and the syntax of the teachers and students with collusions with each other. I haven't responded to. I've been trying to respond to it. There's a former algebra teacher I had named Riley, who's involved with a Mike Domain and Anthony Agaman. And it was just them two and me and one other kid that's reportedly a relative of Congressman Larson. That teacher repeated about sexual things about my neighbor and her being Jewish. And I didn't respond to it. She was looking for a response. I didn't know who they were yet. like this Mike DeMay. He's increasingly involved with a Mazzucato family too, with retired police chiefs, with medical sexual offenders of kids, including with overt criminal enterprises, identity theft, fraud, slanders, with their educators' roles. Let's get them on and with the news at the same time. Recently, there was a story about people leaving drug paraphernalia in an apartment on Wethersfield Avenue, which might have been made up because of their roles with unmarked police forms, and the departments at Central Connecticut State University use remotely criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw, with organized crimes as means to discern this, intercities, whole methods of them recorded. I don't even remember their names, and I know them all. In other words, but they have roles with the news, WTNH too. They were in news stories that contained acting professors from Central Connecticut State University are involved with houses and names near there that have been involved with predicate acts on my street through time as a different part of Wethersfield, and with the names involved with the police confessions over the phones. Like they've used it because they confessed the name Kalal, but they didn't give the whole name. One guy forced himself through my door, a cop, and wanted to identify himself properly. He said the name Scalora is involved with him, with the federal evidence as crimes predicate acts. Scaloras are involved with identity thefts against me since I was a kid, trying to make act and then have others repeat things to make it look like I know him. Subby Scalora. He lied to what's her name? Kate McKenzie. I don't know the Kate McKenzie, but there are people with the name Chloe and DeMar who said that's their cousin. Increasingly, they've been lying with a Mayor Gold and some detective families with the police departments involved with this Ray Chloe and Joe DeMar and Tim O'Brien. Also with the people with the home break-ins, like a Heather Hansen has roles with at least 2 or 3 of them, and time use /yes to that roles with the more recent one, where years ago they were reportedly called the police caught them at the corner of Churchill Drive and Fairlane. They said they were just jogging. That was also recorded them with the Wethersfield police with wire and mail crime methods and falsified police reports. I recorded them involved with and how they cover such up. They're increasingly screening their roles at the same time with a whole bunch of different countries at and next to the campuses, intercities together, like at the corner, like on off town line drive locations. Increasingly, people that went to my grammar school with their teachers who had fake conversations behind my back. I didn't even know their teachers. And in other words, increasingly the people who had the investigators at the news locations and the ones next to them, the differences of their guilt with the predicate acts recorded are involved. Adam Schiff has at least an extent of knowledge, but he has delusions too regarding their roles when they use words like ally and enemy. Russia, Americans, and Ukraine have roles with Wethersfield police, intercities, planting evidences and databases together, and on-off Central Connecticut State University and Paul Manafort Drive. Central Connecticut, CNN has their Facebook page involved also with criminally foreign influence readings of statutes, where and how they have roles with World Trade Center predicate acts, and pretending, they could just say whatever on Facebook and cover whatever. And they have the difference of their guilt, their proofs that there are intelligence next to the people at the national news and international news locations, the way they are next to the public television and next to the news locations, connected timed use of those names, who had collusions with predicate acts before that. It was the intelligence community recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed that Mike Pandolf and Anthony Pandolf, they influenced them to predicate acts. I never even saw Anthony Pandolf anywhere. I don't even know him. They're involved with identity thefts and frauds with a whole bunch of people from Trinity College and Central Connecticut State University. Trinity's in Hartford, Connecticut. Central Connecticut State University is in New Britain, Connecticut. It's also their rules with names next to that and throughout the cities. They have like like a dump, or what is it called? A dump, and which is not to say an insult. In other words, it's a nice thing. A dump in New Britain, and there are people with the name. Oh, there's a building there with a business name Olson. I don't know if they're related. I don't know the Olsons to have it personal. Increasingly, Eric Jensen recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed that people with the name Olson are involved with him with intelligence communities that have been planting evidences on the streets next to me, and with people on my street involved with the wire crimes with them, and they're educators, and in other words, and then they're pretending it's personal. These are also neighbors of a Dominic Lampriato on Dearborn Street in Newington, and Eric Jensen recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed collusions with people that have on all sides of. He didn't say this, but they told me. I mean, this is recorded. All sides of criminal and civil cases, including depositions, are increasingly collusions with names on Dearborn Street in Newington and next to it, who are increasingly involved with all kinds of judges and prosecutors, with all kinds of drugs and medicines crimes, untimely death rolls, murder rolls, with the same house /S, the ones with the wire crimes with the Wethersfield police, and as Wethersfield police phones families involved with the World Trade Center attack too, with their cousins per them. Some of their cousins, Demoro and Claw said that Scalora is their cousin. Kate McKenzie, I never had a word of conversation with her in my life. I don't remember if she was one of the ones in a science class I had, and there was a Chris Walters in there, and he's recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. He was influenced to roles with predicate acts with a Kevin Dillon when I was a kid, and then as an adult, and with other people named Kerr involved on Facebook too, with the Facebook page of New Britain Superior Court, with the principal child abusers Facebook page of his campus, with some KKK Confederate flag team, and switching names into branch. These are roles with the FBI Director Robert Luskin, all sides of criminal and civil cases, including his deposition, involved with courts, family members, and foreign and domestic military that were planting evidences around that time at West Hartford together and making confessions and effecting requests to help from me and demonstrations to me, like by people that were tied to, it has something to do with their roles all along Route 3 and its conjunctions and from Wethersfield, which one of the conjunctions right by Route 3 is the state judicial branch offices. These are also people increasingly at and next to the state corrections offices involved criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions, raw. A whole bunch of people tied to and as Larry Martin involved too, with the Joe DeMauro, with the Wethersfield Police Department, with the Ukraine, and with the Russian names involved. Also with the Wethersfield mayors and a Joshua Stryker have fake conversations with me with him and with others, told lies about me, but to students about me through time, and then to a Dean Alford at Trinity College. I don't even know all their names. Increasingly, people involved with the World Trade Center attack, tied to a Joshua Stryker, and tied to who was also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed by people involved with the wire crimes of the Wethersfield Peace, involved with his roles with the corner of Griswold Street and Fair Lane Drive, influencing others too, with other people with shipping, like a post office, long retired post office family, shipping of Coca-Cola, etc. UPS, they have roles with UPS, all kinds of natures of organized crime. And now, even if they had been influenced to make the confessions, like with the people that were arrested for sending drugs through UPS on Covington Street, involved with the men and women with the name Bobby, also on the corner of Elm Street and Rocky Hill, with the police chief's family, the Mazzucato Bakery, and and that corner. Since through ownerships of different things, and those differences are hid behind. In other words, There's difference. There has been differences, racketeering worse than war crimes, clearer than day, that we could discern black pupils. We have the same color eyes and different color eyes at the same time. We have nature teaching us about difference. We have a bunch of fake people speaking in the news that are pretending it's personal when we know that. They're using all exceptions and exception nature exclusion. They have roles with more natures of organized crime, acts and methods of them against the people of Hartford, and you're wondering why there's shootings in Hartford. These are collusions between the campuses. These are roles with use of the differences of the best campus and the worst one in Hartford. There was an imposition clear as day. We're gonna have injunctive reliefs for the people of America. I'm not even a lawyer, but injunctive beliefs are simultaneously greater than and more finite than what reparations are, while as their value anyway. No, because the people that put the words reparations up, they're speaking as a collusion with those black, white, Latino, other, A through Z. You see, science countries A through Z, our systems being and having been used tactical terror from nature's employment of the species body of individual bodies. All differences to be a demonstration of itself, or it demonstrates. But we have those demonstrations blamed on other things other than ourselves, even until that is real. And even when it's real, that's why even when it's real, they're changing and faking what's actually recorded. Like the group value of the January 6th, the people who went in the Capitol. In other words, you guys have sick campuses you came through, black people. Yeah. Get them off with